See, one thing about with whack, they don't like me because when I say something, it be real, and I'm going to show you the proof of it. I'm never going to let nothing come out my mouth that I don't have the proof. So Spider looks at me because we go back to the juvenile side of the county.
What the? You are now in the Black Box. Whoa. With Spider Loke, Most Easty, a.k.a. BJ Keyway, and the Google Gang. Let's go!
Listen. Gratitude is the attitude. Show is a blessing. To be back in the Black Box. Black Box.
Relax, roll up as we randomly react to content in these YouTube streets. Yeah. It's time for R&R.
Sniper in that puzzle. Big shout out to my SPR, Spotter Low. You know, I'm in the Black Box. Had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Stay tuned. All that.
Man, there has been a predator identified amongst us. His name is Ifantude Dr. Umar Johnson, the Bushitter. Oh, my mama, and we are alone for the extermination of this fraud. Shout out to Tariq Nasheed, my partner, and to some degree, thanks to Tariq Nasheed, I have walked in the steps of one Dr. Umar by being blessed and honored with the opportunity to be part of the Hidden Colors series and franchise, Volume 6, that is yet to be released, scheduled to be released later this year. Check it out. It's where Dr. Umar was really brought to prominence, is where most people got familiar with him. And it was a very well-accepted documentary across the world, especially amongst our people, our community, our culture. And it seems to have gone to Dr. Umar's head. I find it ironic because I had no idea, because I first encountered Dr. Umar by watching Hidden Colors years ago. I didn't know Tariq nor Dr. Umar. I just assumed that they were friends. They was tight. Kind of like when I've been going in on Umar, I was unaware of how Tariq felt or thought. It was kind of like, yeah, hope I'm not rubbing him the wrong way. So I was elated, surprised, shocked to find out he's on the same side of the coin. So with no further ado, let's see what Tariq and Dr. Umar, the one that must be stopped, has been up to. Shout out to O'Shea Duke Jackson for doing the heavy lifting.
The prince of pot pies, the prince of pepper steaks, the prince of peach cobbler.
For the last 2 months, Dr. Umar Johnson has been the headline of many controversies, from dating women to actually losing his school. At first, it was a rumor, and it really wasn't verified, until Dr. Umar verified himself.
They will sell our campus. Brothers and sisters, can I ask you a question? Why were we not notified that they were going to try to sell our campus? Brothers and sisters, why are they trying to sell our campus at the very moment that our accounts are frozen? Brothers and sisters, is it a coincidence? Is it a coincidence? Is it a coincidence that the city of Wilmington is trying to sell properties that we own and have been working on continuously behind?
That phrase don't even go together well. Sell properties that we own. You obviously have put your ownership in jeopardy. My bad, O'Shea. Damn.
Behind our backs. They were going to sell our schools behind our backs. They didn't even tell us that they were going to try to sell our schools. We received no notice in the mail. We received no notice by email. We received no phone calls at all that they were going to try to sell our schools. Instead, they put a notice on the door handle.
I was thinking to myself, this is interesting. Tariq Nasheed hasn't really been talking about this, and we all know about the beef that Tariq Nasheed had with Dr. Umar several years ago. And then, lo and behold.
Damn, that's crazy. I've been slipping, slow-tarded on these issues. Had no idea they was beefing. I guess that would make sense why they wouldn't make more appearances together in these internet streets. Duh.
Tariq Nasheed covered this topic on a Twitter space. Now we got to understand that while both of them will be considered pro-black in a way, they differ in ideologies. Okay, Tariq Nasheed is fully #FBA or Black American centered. Dr. Umar Johnson is #FBA by origin, and he is also Black American centered. That's true, but he's also diaspora centered, and what we call that is a person who is Pan-African.
Which, as I've been thinking about it, I kind of used to think it made a lot of sense. Now it makes very little sense. And for this reason, if you think about it, racism and white supremacy, right? And you imagine yourself being a group of melanated people, some from Africa, different tribes, and then some of them from the Caribbean, some of them from right here, Aboriginal, right? And we're in a group over there mingling amongst ourselves. The ones who view us as all the same is the white man from the outside looking in. If he puts up whites only, that means none of you are allowed. We have in our times past, I believe historically, coexisted, and with while being melanated, we were tribal, and we respected boundaries, and we respected differences. As for some reason, at some point through history, the white men said, guess what? We're not Irish, Italian, and German. We're white, they're black. And then we cease to have our identities amongst us. So Pan-Africanism doesn't even seem like a concept that is natural or originates from a black person. It seems like that's what the white man cast upon us. I tend to believe that the black man is the original man upon the face of the earth, and that they originally occupied all regions. I believe the white man came. I don't know exactly by what process, but I believe he came sometime thereafter. And so therefore, on all regions of the earth, the white man, the black man is highly likely was there first, period, point blank. On my mama, which leads to the fact that, or the idea that we may not all be of one ilk just because we have the same skin color. Just the same way you don't call white people all the same. We call them white people, but when you break it down, they're Italian, they're German, they're Scottish, they're British. Think about it, man.
Now, out of the two communities, I'm in both, but I definitely live in Africa, so I understand both sides of the positions. But Tariq Nasheed brought up something that was interesting.
School that he's been talking about building has been having trouble for a couple of decades, damn near. When I had a beef with Umar almost a decade ago, I told people the school was never going to open. I told people, I wasn't being mean-spirited, but I told people then that school is never going to open, and it's been teetering along, and he's been fundraising for it, and the open dates kept getting pushed back, and it's been a mess. And then Umar's going through things with these women he's dealing with these strange women, these older women, and they're calling him out, and God damn.
Tariq Nasheed discusses the issues that Dr. Umar Johnson has had with this particular school over the years. And not only that, other problems. This is important because, number one, when you are the prince of Pan-Africanism and you say that you are the most requested scholar in the world, we would liken you to some of the old greats in the community, such as Dr. John Henrik Clark or Dr. Amos Wilson, even Malcolm X. These are men that didn't have sexual scandals, that didn't have financial crimes or scam scandals, and they understood leadership. If they had any problems, if it was infidelity based, we never known about it. It was never verified.
I used to kind of like look at Dr. Umar when his struggles with the school started becoming apparent and the time became lengthy. I kind of used to liken him to a Noah type, like, okay, non-believers, y'all gonna be molded one day. But as I start to grow in knowledge about him and his situation, I realized Noah, out of the whole world, according to the story, no one got saved but him and his family. Dr. Umar doesn't even have a family around him to speak of. He created fragments and remnants of a family, but he is not even saving them from the destruction that he's preaching about. So he is nothing like Noah in my assessment moving forward. Oh, my mama.
Largely because they probably were not doing it. And that's what he's trying to get at here. Dr. Umar Johnson wants to be a leader, but doesn't qualify for the leadership or the responsibility that he wants people to give him. He hasn't earned it, and therefore, he's a person that doesn't deserve it. But wait, there's more.
And a lot of people are looking at this as the nail in the coffin for Pan-Africanism. You know, Umar says he's the prince of Pan-Africanism. And as we see, Pan-Africanism is, you know, it's been hanging by a thread, the whole ideology of it. And there's a symbolism here, the symbolic collapse of the school and Pan-Africanism. This is what it is. The school was not just a personal mission. It presented itself as like a Pan-African institution.
Now here he's talking about the school and who the school was meant for. The FDMG Academy was not only meant for Black Americans or Black American students in the Wilmington, Delaware area. It was supposed to embody all of the historical teachings and benefit Black children in the diaspora, especially young men. But then he says this.
But, you know, this was presented as it was going to be a Pan-African institution meant to unify diasporic children and Afrocentric educators and all this stuff. And its failure after damn near, what, 2 decades, almost 2 decades of promises, it's being viewed as a symbolic collapse of Pan-African idealism without execution. You know, this is the reality. Pan-Africanism, it has really no tangible track record in America. You know, despite decades of rhetoric, and we've been talking about this lately, Pan-Africanism has produced very few institutions, schools, sustained infrastructure for Black Americans. It just hasn't.
He then goes on to talk about how Pan-Africanism hasn't produced anything for Black Americans. And this is very interesting because I'd like to take his statement one step further. Pan-Africanism doesn't produce anything largely for anybody. Don't get me wrong, there are things that happen here and there. I mean, you find certain countries, Kenya opening its visa restrictions to allow other people come in, and obviously the African Free Trade Agreement is something on the rise. But the reality is Pan-Africanism really doesn't produce anything. And the reason why it doesn't produce anything is because everybody who runs something in Pan-Africanism, for the most part, operates with a survivalism mentality. This is very true in the United States. It's true in Africa. Almost all people who run Pan-African organizations that I have met, okay, this is not everybody, are scammers or liars. It's the God's honest truth. You know, most people who talk up Pan-Africans or Pan-Africanism, they're trying to scam for themselves, and they really don't care about Black people at all. And in fact, many Pan-Africanists are haters of Black people. If Pan-Africanism was really operating with meritocracy, we wouldn't see all the problems we have in Africa. We wouldn't see all the problems we have in the diaspora in America. But the reason why Pan-Africanism doesn't exist like it should is because everybody operates from a survivalism mentality. And you cannot work or collaborate with a survivalism mentality. This is the shock that Black Americans get when they come over to Africa, when you come to Uganda, when you come to Ghana. Kenya's a lot better when you may come to certain parts of Kenya, or South Africa is better. But what you're going to find out is when somebody encounters you, they may not be looking at you as a brother. They could be nice, they could be smiling at you, but because of their how they've grown up, and this is not to say that people are not nice or not good people in Africa, but they have to look out for themselves. It is difficult to deal with somebody on a collaborative scale that it has a seller's market mentality. Okay. Now, most Black Americans in general, we look at buyers first mentality or a customer service first mentality. This is why the brands like Apple grow, right? We trust it. They reinvest into their products. They make their products better. They're honest. Okay. But when you're dealing with Pan-Africanism, you have so many people who have a seller's market mentality. Look at Dr. Umar Johnson. He believes you're supposed to give him money and he's supposed to do whatever with the money. And then there is no accountability for why the school is closed. Okay. And it's your fault. It's everybody else's fault. That's a person that operates with the seller's market mentality. But these are the people that represent Pan-Africanism. Okay. And when they represent it like that, nothing can get done because Pan-Africanism, if it is to work, it takes a lot of sacrifice. Here's the benefit of what Tariq Nasheed is talking about when you talk about hashtag FBA. It's easier to sacrifice for something that you identify with. It's easier to sacrifice for your own group. Okay. It's much easier to do that. You know, that's why you have some of the Black colleges that we have in America today. Some of them are funded by, the AME church or just public institutions. It's easier to sacrifice that which you can relate to. Black Americans or anybody else cannot really relate so much to Pan-Africanism as they can to being the original Negro or African Americans. Okay, so it's much easier to do that. But the way that Black Americans think is because somebody else is Black and they're Black, okay, then we can still dig up the bond that we have for one another and exchange that for somebody else. The problem occurs when the other person has never had to do that, either for themselves or their own group or nobody else. Then what you get is disparity. So what happens is it actually costs you to operate in Pan-Africanism more than it costs you to operate with hashtag FBA. And this is not the only person that feels like this.
It took me a while to figure it out. They call them hoteps. All of these brothers, these so-called conscious brothers, these so-called smart brothers, these revolutionary type brothers, and there's nothing wrong with having that mindset. None of them are working.
For her saying that, I want the roll call in my head right now of these dudes that I used to think was sharp that ended up being shit, went from sharp to shit. Umar, Polite, Jamal Rashad, Young Pharaoh. Well, I didn't ever think Nature Boy was sharp, but Nature Boy. Just look how many of these type turned out to have real dark, deep, rotten shit attached to them. That's crazy.
Most of them, they are just all talk and no bark. And I'm starting to realize that. Or they're going to use their competence to try to bamboozle and manipulate the people. I have been friends with Black men that are extremely revolutionary and they don't have a job and they don't plan on getting no business about their mother self. That's one thing I'm noticing. So let me get this straight. You can sit here and you can preach about white supremacy. You can preach about systemic racism and you can preach about all of these things. But for some reason, you don't want to take the necessary steps there are to take to actually benefit the Black community or actually put something back into your community or put something back into your household. I'm going to tell y'all right now, okay? If you see a brother with them colors, and y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Them red, black, and green colors or anything that resembles Pan-Africanism, run.
That's a damn shame.
I hate to say that because I know all brothers are not like that. But they have a history of they have a history of really misleading the people because of their so-called quote unquote knowledge. All of these brothers, most of these brothers, the majority of these brothers ain't got no motion in real life. I promise you that. I promise you that. They just all talk. They don't have any resources. They don't have any of that to elevate their own household, let alone the black community. All I'm saying is use your critical thinking skills and move on.
Now, as you see, the young lady is not speaking about Umar directly, but she basically is summing up Umar. She's talking about guys like Brother Polite and other men. Most guys that are with the red,
That's one on my list. That's crazy.
black and green. This is not all of them, but it tends to be most of them. Most of them talk like this for personal gain, to use people, to get women, to hide their sexual deviancy. We've all seen it. Malachi York. I mean, the list goes on. The reality is that Pan-Africanism is still a white space opportunity. It's still a lot to grow. It's a what if concept. And I am a person in the Pan-Africanist community, right? I lived in Europe for some time. I'm hashtag FBA. But I'm going to be honest. I've criticized the Pan-African community because it cannot grow when you are a person that's trying to survive. It's hard for people in the so-called Pan-African community to sacrifice for the greater good of other people that they don't understand. For an example, let's use our Nigerian brothers, our Ghanaian brothers. It's hard for me to sacrifice what I know for them. I don't know what it means to be a Nigerian. And within Nigeria itself, there are many different tribes, customs, cultures that I don't understand, and they don't understand me. So it's hard for me to sacrifice myself for something that I don't understand, and probably knowing that that particular group of people wouldn't sacrifice for Pan-Africanism to grow. They would probably look out for themselves, and to a certain degree, I may look out for myself. That's the problem with Pan-Africanism. But I believe if you have good leadership, like somebody like Umar, who did sacrifice, then it would teach other people the benefit of sacrificing for the community. But when the person is a leader,
Shout out King Randall, the real Dr. Umar. Umar must be stopped.
that is stealing, the person is a leader that is committing fraud, the person that's a leader isn't responsible. There is no way that Pan-Africanism can grow when you have people representing the movement like a Dr. Umar Johnson. It becomes a caricature. It doesn't become a movement. It becomes a joke. And so when people call this out for what it is, they're not lying. They're telling the absolute truth. And I'm a person that, I'm in all kind of deep Pan-African spaces. The Pan-African community is deep. It's not just Hoteps. You have 5% Nation, some Nation of Islam. You have Christians. You have atheists. You have the different sects of Hebrew Israelites. You got North American Moorish. You have a whole bunch, especially the Hebrew Israelites are more African, different sects. But the reality is that nobody can really sacrifice for the greater good of Africa. And then Africa has a hard time sacrificing. Again, you have most people in Africa that have a survivalism mentality. Africans that come to America are, hey, it's about me. I got to win first for my family. You can't build a community like that. And that is why Pan-Africanism is failing. It remains a white space idea, but it takes sacrifice. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. I appreciate it.
Son, I'm sorry, but you can't act the same as your white friends. You can't pretend to shoot guns. You can't run around in the dark. You can't hide behind anything other than your own teeth. These are the sorts of messages I've been inundated with my entire life. I came to realize that this, in and of itself, was a very purposeful form of education, quite explicitly.
Most of those tests are culturally biased to begin with. The only part that's universal is math. All I'm saying is survive.
The world has watched as unarmed black men and women have had their lives taken at the hands of police and vigilantes.
Now, I'm no Muslim, but I agree with some of the things they say regarding black people. Being a black man in America isn't easy. The hunt is on. And you're the prey.
I
told my son no regrets, as long as he gave his best. And it's cool to spend a little, but to say the rest. First rule of nature, take care of self, cherish health, be wary and careful with who you share your wealth. Suggest you get accustomed to making sacrifice, and that's advice from one familiar with the facts of life. Told him I support him, always there for him, promise, but he'll never know no love like his mama's. Remain humble, always guard your gift, it's easy to find trouble and so hard to miss it. Pay attention, be careful what you take for granted. Acknowledge God, a higher power had to make the planet. When it comes to romance, first thing, know a woman could be the best or the worst thing for you. Real men tell the truth, they never gossip though. Stand for something knowing nothing is impossible.
I knew you was gonna be important. Anyway, I wanted to be somebody you could look up to.
About raising a black boy in America. Growing up, I didn't always understand in the way that I do now. Always keep your hands where they can see them. Don't move too quickly. Take off your hood when the sun goes down.
With these words of wisdoms, I will write my son. Won't bullshit with him, I won't bite my tongue. Admonish him to follow his visions instead of religion. Sound backwards, but receiving ain't better than giving. Forgive those that wrong him, but never forget him. For a coward to be dead is much better than living. At age 17, I was headed for prison, and that's pathetic, so we got to make better decisions. It's natural for men to go together with women. Be cautious of anyone that try to tell him it isn't. The man, he understand how to handle this scandalous system. They stack the deck against the black man and gamble against him. This evil world, even police can be horrible people. Make sure we know there's a difference between moral and legal. When approaching proposition, you should question it properly. No question it properly. You should consider investing it properly. Get it?
You listening? Yeah. To bring the property value down. They can buy the land at a lower price. Then they move all the people out, raise the property value, and sell it at a profit. And what we need to do is we need to keep everything in our neighborhood, everything black. Black owned with black money. Just like the Jews, the Italians, the Mexicans, and the Koreans do.
Synonymous with something to be feared. But this cannot be what defines us. The only thing we should give up is the idea that we aren't worthy of this world. So when we say that Black lives matter, it's not because others don't. It's simply because we must affirm that we are worthy of existing without fear, when so many things tell us we are not. We are not. We are not.
Neighborhood Net Hustle. Big shout out to SPI, Spotter Low. You know I'm in the black box, had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Stay tuned, all that.
It's the homie cook-up boss, goddammit, Cub Low. And y'all tuning in to the Wake and Bake Show with goddammit the homeboy Spider Low.
It was SPI, the realest nigga in LA.
Spider this bitch!
Spider Low, nigga.
Spider Low.
Spider Low.
Spider Low.
Spider Low.
Spider Low.
So Spider looks at me because we go back to the juvenile side of the county.
What the? Spider Low. Spider Low.
Shout out to SPI, that motherfucking nigga.
Spider Low, Wake and Bake. Better keep it Google, nigga.
Loke is in LA somewhere doing what he's doing.
In the words of Spider Loke on my mama's mama.
Spider Loke's gear. This is Bay Mac.
Nate Blood, C-Mac. Shout out my Loke. Spider Loke, huh? Nate Blood on hood. It's a beautiful world. You fight me? Fight, craig.
point blank, through no subliminal dissing. When I listen, I can tell you never been on no mission. Sticking to the script, don't care if I offend you. Neighborhood crib, the marathon
I overlook my
continue.
competition, never seeing them. I done trained my mind that I'm going. You could tell by how I walk, talk, I'm a boss. A east side millionaire, homie, what you thought? My life is a movie. They can't get close to me. They mad cause they can't be. I'm everything that they wanna be. Yeah.
You are now in the Black Box with Spider Loke, Most Easty, aka BJ Keyway, and the Google Gang.
Let's go!
Don't leave the Black Box without checking out that video right there on your screen. YouTube picked that just for you. On my mama. They know you'll get down. Jeter.